New South Wales Government says it will very carefully consider the recommendations handed down from the inquest into the Bondi stabbing attack. It lists out 23 suggestions, including cooperation between police and paramedics and education to escape, hide, tell when there's an active armed offender. The coroner also recommended psychiatric guidelines on deprescribing antipsychotics and, finally, bravery awards for people who confronted Joel Cauchi, who stabbed 16 people inside the shopping centre in 2024. The coroner has also referred Cauchi's psychiatrist to the Queensland Health Ombudsman. Victorian gangland survivor and convicted drug trafficker Tony Mokbel will be a free man this morning. In a twist decision, the prosecution has decided it will not be pursuing a drug retrial against Mokbel, who has been on bail for the last 10 months.
Well, pressure is mounting on the Prime Minister to rescind an official invitation to the Israeli President ahead of his visit to Australia next week. Isaac Herzog has incited genocide, according to the UN's Commission of Inquiry. The Jewish community says there's no reason to let him into the country.
The government has listened to the request of the Jewish community on this.
President Herzog is a deeply divisive and inflammatory figure.
To not let him in, rather. Police are bracing for nationwide protests for the president's arrival. US authorities investigating the abduction of American TV presenter Savannah Guthrie's mum say they are taking a possible ransom note seriously. Let's go live to Hannah Sinclair in Washington, D.C. Hannah, police have also announced a reward for information.
Yes, Sarah, good morning. They are saying they're offering $50,000 for information or for the safe return of Nancy Guthrie. The search for the missing grandmother entering its 5th day here. Authorities are saying they're taking a possible ransom note sent to media outlets seriously, saying it included a deadline and demands for money.
We are aware of a ransom letter that was sent to the local media and then to national outlets. As with every lead, we are taking it seriously. Any action taken on any ransom is ultimately decided by the family.
Nancy Guthrie's 3 children issuing an emotional plea urging possible kidnappers to prove their beloved mum is still alive, saying she has a fragile heart and health and needs medication to survive. President Trump has spoken to Savannah Guthrie and says all resources are being deployed to get her mum home safely. Sarah.
Hannah, thank you.
A second round of peace talks between the US, Ukraine and Russia have come to an end in Abu Dhabi with no breakthrough to end the war. Both countries, however, agreed to a prisoner swap, releasing 157 people each in what were emotional scenes as the prisoners, flanked in their country's flag, were transported back to their homes and families. Ukraine's president says further talks will take place in the near future. Well, King Charles and Queen Camilla have been heckled during their visit to Essex today over Andrew Mountbatten Windsor's connection to Jeffrey Epstein. Let's go live to Mimi in London. Mimi, how did the royals respond?
Well, Carl, the King didn't seem to react at all. He simply kept walking. He was there at a village in Essex and he was meeting more than hundreds of people who had turned out to wish the royals well. They kept going, kept smiling and kept shaking hands, but these questions around Andrew will continue to swirl.
You'll probably help with the Epstein investigation.
Meanwhile, British Prime Minister Sir Keir Starmer has apologised to Jeffrey Epstein's victims after appointing one of his close confidants to the UK's top diplomatic role. Sir Keir Starmer said he was unaware of the depth and darkness of the relationship of Peter Mandelson with Jeffrey Epstein when that appointment was made, but he is now facing mounting political pressure. Carl.
Mimi, that's for sure. Thank you.
Well, returning now to our top story, and there's been a sinister turn in the disappearance of 4-year-old Gus Lamont. Let's go live again to Samantha Hogan in Yunta. Sam, good to see you this morning. The case has also been declared a major crime.
Yeah, good morning to you, Sarah. Yeah, police have identified a suspect, a member of Gus's family who lived with him at the remote station, as a suspect, and they say that person is no longer cooperating with detectives and has hired a lawyer. They've seized a number of items from the remote property where Gus lived with his two grandparents and his mother, but police stress that his mum and dad are not suspects in this case. They do, however, still have questions about the exact timeline of events of when Gus exactly went missing originally.
Pauline Hanson has returned to the Senate after being suspended for wearing a burqa in the chamber. The controversial senator says she would consider teaming up with the Liberals and Nationals to give them supply and hold the government to account. If you thought you were getting ripped off at the pub, you could be right. Secret shoppers finding many of us are getting less than we pay for. Live to Sarah Stewart in Manly. Sarah, this certainly doesn't pass the pub test.
It certainly doesn't. We know that secret shoppers have been out in this covert operation trying to work out if we are getting a fair amount of alcohol when we get our schooner, our midi, our shot glass, or our glass of wine. They went to over 430 venues across Australia and found out that 30%, or 3 in 10, aren't giving us what we pay for. They issued 130 non-compliance notices, mostly for unapproved glassware and also spillage. That means we are not getting those precious meals in our glasses. And this is outrageous. It's simply un-Australian. Jane.
It certainly is outrageous, Sarah, thank you. And there's nothing like escaping the stifling heat from a 35-degree day than hopping into a car with nice, cool aircon. But that's not what happened for this woman in Perth. She was told by her Uber driver it would cost her $5 to switch it on. While the rideshare company has refunded her trip, it begs the question, is this someone trying to make a quick buck or a smart business move? I am not a fan of it.
That is not cool in every way. Like that. Let's take a quick look at the weather across the country now. A pretty good looking Friday ahead in most capital cities. Temperatures in the low 30s for Brisbane, Sydney, Adelaide, Perth and Darwin.
37 the hot top for Canberra, 25 for Melbourne and 21 for Hobart. Welcome back. Well, TV host Savannah Guthrie is publicly pleading for her mother's safe return as the search for Nancy enters a 5th day.
The latest, we're joined by former FBI negotiator Gregory Vecchi in Kansas City, USA. Gregory, good morning to you. What did you make of the Guthrie family's heartbreaking message this morning? Tough to watch.
Oh, good morning. Thanks for having me. Yeah, it's a really tough case. This is really, it's heartbreaking because of how vulnerable Nancy is in this, given her age and given her medical conditions, the fact that she doesn't have her meds, and there appears to be some violence possibly. I think her blood was determined to be outside the front door. And so, we're dealing with, in addition to the ransom notes that have been sent to a number of outlets here in the U.S., they're looking at the very possibility that this could be a kidnapping.
Gosh, it's just so shocking, and it was so heartbreaking watching Savannah and her siblings with that video plea. And I mean, there's so much that's still unclear, as you just foreshadowed, right? We don't know whether this reported ransom deal is real, but the family must think that they are, and they're asking for proof of life.
Sure, and this is this approach is a technique, right? It's not just the family just showing up there. They're basically coached a little bit on what to say. And I will have to say that what I found to be very kind of unusual about this case is the fact that, in most ransom cases involving a family member being taken hostage or kidnapped, typically these cases are almost always private. They're just private between the kidnapper and the family, and they don't want law enforcement involved. In fact, when I worked kidnapping investigations in the FBI, we snuck around and snuck into their house and coached them on what to say when the next call comes in. And we did not want to be, identified as being, part of it. But for whatever reason, these kidnappers, if it is a kidnapping, has decided to make this public. And so, when we're talking about the video, we're looking for very specific things and reasons why we would do a video like this and set it up.
It's a big thing for authorities to get the family to do too.
Yeah.
All right, mate. Thank you so much. Appreciate your expertise.